Record-breaking news into CBS Sports HQ for Trey McBride, who's signing an extension with the Cardinals, making him the highest-paid tight end in NFL history. The extension is for 4 years and $76 million, $43 million guaranteed, according to multiple reports. Had 111 catches last season, over 1,100 yards in a breakout third season for the Cardinals. Let's bring in Douzable, longtime NFL vet. we know how important tight ends are this day and age in the National Football League. We've seen Travis Kelce's run of late, and now Trey McBride is picking up where Kelce might be leaving off. What do you make of this record-setting deal?
This is an amazing job by the Arizona Cardinals to lock up one of their young, budding stars in Trey McBride. You kind of alluded to it, right? Travis Kelce, for the longest, I would say, going back the last 7-8 years, has been on the top of the food chain when it comes to being at the tight end position. Trey McBride is a top 3 tight end in football, and a lot of people don't talk about him because he's out there in Arizona, and unless you're on the West Coast, a lot of those games come on later, so you're not tuned in or locked into him. But you alluded to it earlier, has over 1,100 yards, 111 receptions. The only tight end that had more receiving yards and receptions was Brock Bowers, who had a ridiculous year, his rookie year last year for the Las Vegas Raiders. So Trey McBride, what he's able to do with those mismatches for safeties and linebackers, like, he is a mismatch, and that's why Kyler Murray finds him. Even though they drafted their #1 receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride essentially was their #1 option on the outside for the Cardinals last year. So this is a great job by the Arizona Cardinals locking up their young star at tight end.
Cardinals just missed out of the postseason last year, finished 8-9, locking up one of their key young pieces on offense, and you mentioned some of the others. What do you expect at this point? I know the draft is still coming, and we're in the middle of free agency. What kind of outlook do you have for the Cardinals this upcoming season?
A really big outlook. Like, last year, I think me and Pete Prisco both said this is going to be a team that's going to fight you tooth and nail. I just had the pleasure of sitting down with Jonathan Gannon, their head coach, at the league meetings this past week. And I talked about how when I turn on the tape, Hass, and watch this Cardinals team, like, they fly around to the football. They play significantly hard. And you saw that in the win column, right? They went 9-8, were just out of the playoffs by 1 game. And you could tell there was a theme when it came to free agency for them. They wanted to rectify that defensive line. Jonathan Gannon comes from Philadelphia a couple years ago, defensive coordinator there. Y'all remember the defensive line he had? Well, he wants to bring that to Arizona. He signs Josh Sweat in the offseason, right? They re-signed L.J. Collier, who was coming off a career year for them last year. They get Dalvin Tomlinson to shore up the run game. And they get the wily vet and Calais Campbell to bring it all together. So this is a team, and I talked to Jonathan Gannon about it. I said those 2 games that were that I go back to last year where the Cardinals could have gotten to the playoffs. It was that Minnesota Vikings game that came down to the wire, and Kyler Murray had that costly interception at the end of the game, and the game they lost in overtime to the Carolina Panthers. Those were the 2 bugaboos, or this team would have been a playoff team. He's been building this the right way in the trenches. He has his quarterback, Kyler Murray, playing really good football. Trey McBride is a big piece. They had to fix that defensive line. Now that they've done that, I believe they're real contenders in the NFC West.
4 years, $76 million for Trey McBride, the most tight end has ever made in the NFL. He had the 4th most catches in NFL history by a tight end in his 3rd NFL season last year. Douzable with us here on HQ. Of course, we're looking ahead to the draft, which is, 4 weeks from tonight? It's coming, baby. Jalen Walker is the pick in Ryan Wilson's latest mock draft, with the Cardinals drafting right in the middle at 16th. Walker, the edge out of Georgia.